Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The 8 teams that will go to Masters Bangkok have officially been determined, as have the groups in a couple of the different regions. The Americas groups going into Stage 1 have been revealed last night. Some fascinating games upcoming there. Sentinels versus 100T as always, but some big results as well. G2 versus Sentinels in the grand finale of the Americas going into Bangkok as well, concluded yesterday. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. The kickoffs are very nearly at an end as of today. And we're going to dive straight into what happened yesterday in the Pacific because, wow, this was a banger series. I mean, look, it's the Pacific. It's Gen.G involved. It's going to be a fantastic series. It almost always is. It's very interesting, though, what's happened in this region. As I said over the last few days, the Korean teams really stepping forward to dominant fashion. And T1, as I was going through the video yesterday, the split was underway. You guys remember that we went through it. It was like 11-6, 11-7 or whatever at some point. Actually, you can literally see the numbers here. But Gen.G brought it back on the second side, and I was saying, like, this is going to be another split classic, isn't it? And that's exactly what it turned into. It went to overtime. It was a back and forth overtime. It was funny, really, because it was all defense, really, until Gen.G eventually won the attack on round 27, but then T1 bounced back. And then it was another attack, another attack, another attack, and eventually Gen.G closed out. Actually, I think it was Texture with just an unreal finish to this map here, and he got an ace, I think, to close it out. So unfortunately for Texture, whenever he drops an ace, they lose, because T1, this really impressed me actually, because T1 went up 2-0, right? 13-8, 13-8. They lost the Haven. They then lost this crazy split, and you could not forgive T1, but you could understand if T1 on the binds mentally were somewhat compromised. But they started out 9-0. Like, they just had an absolute rampage off the rip, and Carpe had a phenomenal map here. So that was really impressive to me, because some teams, you guys know that I like this T1 roster. I like the way they put it together, and I believe there's a really high ceiling here. But until you're in a position where you're up 2-0, you're then pegged back to 2-2, and mentally you've got to cope with that against the might of Gen.G on the other side, and they did so in flying colours, really. I mean, they went up 9-0, it was then 9-3, and then they won the additional rounds they needed to, just about to get over the line, 13-10, and T1 advance on to Masters Bangkok with DRX, and Gen.G will not be there. So, yeah, remarkable stuff. The final, of course, is underway as well. It's currently 2-1 to DRX, and these will be your 10 players from the Pacific at Bangkok. It's cool to see Stacks there again. I think it's actually a great storyline that he's managed to make it back, regardless of the team that he's on. And it does seem like DRX, I mean, they 13-3 them on the Abyss. It was then 13-6 the other way on Lotus, 13-9 back the other way on Fracture. So not many real banger close maps yet. This one's looking a bit more competitive here on the bind. So, yeah, we'll see how this one goes, of course. But it's interesting, at least to me, to feel that I don't really care about the finals. I don't know if you guys are similar. Like, I do kind of care, but and it's interesting to know who is the best team in the region, right? But the match that really matters to me still is the lower final, and I know that this is true in other esports as well, but I do find it a little bit strange. It's just interesting, is it not, that the match that I feel like matters the most, and frankly does matter the most, is the lower final to determine the team that makes it and the team that doesn't make it. The team that wins the region, it's like, oh yeah, congrats, I guess, but it's not really a big deal. The events that matter are the internationals. So, okay, DRX could beat T1 here, and maybe they will. It's currently 12-8. This is match point in the series, and if they win it, congrats, DRX, they win the region, and they are the favourites from the Pacific. But of course, who knows? T1 may turn up to the international in Bangkok, and, you know, they might win it. They might go one step further. Meteor last alive, 1 versus 1 now against Mako. I guess we might as well watch this one out, haven't we? Like, if we're watching it live, because, yeah, wow, Meteor versus Mako, 1 versus 1. And Meteor wins it. Okay, keeps them alive. Unbelievable scenes. So, I actually thought it was over there, but Meteor do Meteor things, I guess. 12-9, probably DRX is still going to win, and if they do win, great stuff. But these are the two teams fundamentally that made it, and the real story is that Gen.G did not. And of course, neither did Paper X. These are the groups then, as we'll get back to that match, I'm sure in the coming minutes anyway, to see if it did conclude, from the Pacific. So DRX, Gen.G, DFM, Paper X, Boom Esports, and Global Esports, that is Group A. Very interesting group, right? I mean, especially DRX, Gen.G, and Paper X with a promising Boom Esports, a promising DFM in there as well. Group Omega does seem more, I mean, Group A is pretty stacked, isn't it? Like, I know that RRQ they are better maybe than they sometimes appear. I like the Nongshim team, but you gotta think that these groups are very much like stacked in Group A, right? I mean, obviously PaperX didn't have a good kickoff, but still, DRX, Gen.G, PaperX, and another couple of promising teams in the same group. And then Group Omega, you've got T1 and basically only T1, with Talon are okay and these other guys are okay. But yeah, those groups do not seem especially balanced to me, and tweet your thoughts in the comments. And these are your 8 teams going to Masters Bangkok, and this final number, who we will discuss right about now, was Team Liquid. Now, we talked about Team Liquid's run being pretty impressive, and every step of the way, you know, I like to be confident in Liquid because I like Nats and I like the idea that he can make it again and everything like that. But the idea that Liquid have put together this roster, I think Keiko deserves so much credit, really, because, you know, he's another one of these players, maybe former duelist, now becoming Smokes player, who's just absolutely cooking. And it's, well, very interesting to see. Obviously, Mystic was there and Enzo was there. They get rid of those guys. Nat stays in. I think Patty Tech as well deserves so much credit. I mentioned this to you guys yesterday as a big storyline, that Patty Tech versus Heretics, the team that he helped on many an occasion. Now he gets to defeat them. And that's exactly what he did. And this was such an interesting one, I think, for Team Heretics. Like, the first thing to note, really, is that Heretics' map pool, certainly in a best of 5, is not really good at all. Like, the fact that on recent performances, Heretics still played the Abyss, they didn't ban it, they banned the Split instead, and they're not good at Abyss. Like, they're really not good at Abyss at all. And that still made the map sets. That's a bit concerning. They got 13 forward on their map pick on the Lotus. Like, you know, Liquid just destroyed them. Heretics were nowhere near the game that they needed to be at. So, you know, it's very interesting why Heretics, because seemingly have fallen off, right? They came so close to a couple of internationals. And then, obviously, they're kind of doing the, people call it the PaperX speed run. Get very close for a long time and then fall off. But, I mean, Heretics have gone from getting very close for some time and then just, you know, full collapse. And then the Fracture, back on Heretics' pick, they started off 3-3, 4-3, and then it all really fell apart again. So, yeah, an absolute disaster from Heretics, and this is genuinely one of the more dominant series you are ever going to see in one of these massively important qualification games. So, it's Team Liquid. Like, that is really the surprise package, right? Like, you look at the other teams and you say, okay, from the Americas, G2 Sentinels, you could have predicted that one. Maybe you'd expect NRG to maybe be in there, but, you know, G2 Sentinels makes an awful lot of sense. If you look at EMEA, I mean, Vitality makes sense, I think, with the roster they put together, but you might have expected, could have been Fnatic, could have been many other teams instead. Obviously, Heretics you'd have thought might have made it as well, but they didn't. In the Pacific, you know, DRX and T1 makes sense. I think, you know, maybe Gen.G could have made it, PaperX could have made it, but, you know, you see those two teams, maybe you're not massively surprised. And then China makes a lot of sense with Trace Esports looking as good as they have done. But I think it's really the Liquid pick, isn't it? That to me is the big surprising result here. And as Patty Tech says, you know, GG's 3-0. We played out of our mind today. So happy with the team. And I think it's just a great story for Patty as well, with everything that he did for Heretics to, you know, go to Liquid and now qualify himself. Such an awesome storyline. And this is a pretty cool story as well, that Keiko is actually half Thai. So there is going to be a Thai player kind of at Masters Bangkok, which is nice to see. And yeah, he obviously got them to the finals of Masters Shanghai, where they lost to Gen.G last year as a substitute. And now he's eliminated them for the tournament. So unbelievable scenes. But the other big result of yesterday was in the Americas and what's going on with the groups out there. I'll quickly check back in here with this event, and well, hang on a second. It's 12-10. Do you want to make it the comeback? We'll come back to that in a second as we continue to record the video. But so Sentinels played G2 in the final. As I've said a couple of times now, you know, this series, G2 and Sentinels, it's interesting just to watch, to see what happens, but it's not, you know, to me, it's not massively important, right? Like, both of these teams, really, what they think about is Bangkok. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the players feel differently. That's just how I feel about the format and everything. But, yeah, so Sen played G2, and this was a great result for Sentinels in some respects. They didn't win, but they didn't get trounced like the other day. I think that's the key takeaway, really, here. And obviously both teams, because it's not a qualification game, they care, they try, they want to win, but you know, it's not the biggest deal if they don't play their absolute best stuff. And when it went to a final map decider on the binds, this was a critical 2v4. The Jonah P and Valen clutched up here, which, you know, this was a real big one for Sentinels. Had they won this round, getting back into the series was absolutely a possibility. Most of these games were relatively one-sided, G2 versus Sentinels here, like getting to the point where they went to a bind, and in the end it was G2 that did close it out. But wow, this was a close fought one. And in the end, it was a 3-2 to G2. So congratulations, G2. They are the best team in the region. But Sentinels put up a very good fight here. Trent had a great series. Like, everyone on Sentinels played pretty well at their time as well. Okay, Zeltis didn't play as well as he did against MIBR. But still, I mean, Sentinels dominated G2's pick on Split, which, to be fair, I don't really know why G2 are picking that into Sentinels. Split, I mean, come on. Pretty good at that one, Sen. But still, that's what they decided to do. The 13-8 went the other way, though, on Sentinels. Because I think, again, for Sentinels, they like playing Pearl. I don't think they're very good at it, unfortunately. So, you know, there's lots for them to learn. I think this is a series where you learn a lot as a team, really, about the way that things are going. Sentinels, though, then won the Abyss, lost the Fracture. I mean, they all won each other's map pick, basically. And then the Haven Decider was a bit of a banger, and the 9-3 Curse didn't, in the end, come through. Certainly after the pistol, it was basically chalked. So, yeah, GG's. Great tournament, I think, for both of these teams. We shall see both of these teams in Masters Bangkok. And I think we know that G2, their level is incredibly high. If G2 play at their best, I think they win Bangkok. I don't think any other team can really handle it right now. But it's possible. We don't know how the other teams are going to match up. If other teams play their best, I mean, if Vitality play their best, you know, maybe their skill ceiling is off the planet. And Edward Gaming are the world champions, right? So, you know, who knows what happens in Thailand. But Sentinels, because they were so close to G2 this series, I think can take lots of confidence for how they played yesterday. And as Leaf says, not my best performance, but and they finally came out shooting, but my boys got my back. What I did want to discuss, though, is the following. So these are the groups, Alpha and Omega in the Americas, and wow, are they particularly interesting. So I think on this part, Group Omega looks pretty stacked, although they are probably a little bit more balanced. 2G, we know they're not good. I mean, their kickoff was atrocious. We do have, though, again, it's Sen 100T. It doesn't seem to matter what the circumstances are. Riot will always find a way to make Sen 100T a thing. EG are not that great. Loud are not that great. Crew looked pretty good, but still not great. So I think really Sen and 100T got to be pretty happy with this one, this Group A. Group Omega, on the other hand, this is pretty stacked. I mean, you've got G2, the best team in the region. You've got MIBR, the third best team in the region, with Aspas, the best player in the world, arguably. You've got Lev, who still surely have some upside, although they didn't have the best kickoff, but better than their scrims. NRG, the team that, you know, they will feel like they should have qualified here for Masters Bangkok, given their level. Cloud9, who we know, you know, are probably going to struggle in some of these series, and then will probably bring a miraculous upset victory against NRG or something, but they're not a team to completely count out. And then Furia, maybe one of their best versions of a team in some time as well. So I think, again, you look at these group draws, and you say, wow, you know, it does seem pretty stacked. Like, I think the Group Alpha teams will be pretty happy about this. If I'm in Group Omega, I am not the happiest bunny by any means. So very much interested in your thoughts in the comment section below. And as predicted, we are, of course, in overtime here on the Bind. So, yeah, this is obviously going to be a banger series conclusion. The video's about to end here, so I'm going to do the same as initiate and sign off. And by the time that you guys watch this video, you may well know the outcome of this map. T1 on the verge of taking it all the way through. I mean, look, there's one more rounds for them to take it to a deciding map on the split. And I mean, look, could you imagine if we actually get to a deciding map here on the split? But very much interested in your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time. Here we go, down to the wire. It's who gets the kill. There it is, 14-12. GG, GG, GG. That is map 5 locked in. Unbelievable. What a comeback. What a comeback there. Okay, split decider. Run it up.